So, are you ready to tap into the power of your subconscious mind?
I think a lot of people are curious about that.
Yeah, because it feels kind of mysterious,
Yeah.
right? Like, what even is it, and how can we use it to actually improve our lives?
Well, that's what we're diving deep into today.
Exactly. And our guide for this deep dive is Joseph Murphy's The Power of the Subconscious Mind.
That's a classic for a reason.
Yeah, I mean, he not only breaks down how the subconscious works.
Which can be pretty complex.
Right, exactly. But he also gives practical techniques to use it.
To use it for anything, really.
Yeah, from health and wealth.
To relationships and happiness.
It's kind of like a one-stop shop for self-improvement.
You know? It is, and it's all rooted in this idea that we have way more power within us than we realize.
And that a lot of that power resides in our subconscious.
Right, it's like this hidden engine driving everything we do.
I love that he uses the analogy of a ship to explain it.
Yeah, it's a good one.
The conscious mind is the captain, making decisions, steering the ship.
And the subconscious is that powerful engine room, carrying out those decisions.
Makes total sense.
But here's the thing.
What's that?
The subconscious doesn't judge or discriminate like our conscious mind.
Oh, meaning.
It accepts whatever we feed it.
So if we're constantly thinking negative thoughts,
it's going to take those on as truth.
And manifest them in our lives.
Exactly, whether we want it to or not.
So we really have to be mindful of what we're feeding our subconscious.
Absolutely, because that's where the power of suggestion comes in.
Right. Murphy gives some pretty wild examples of how suggestion has impacted people's lives.
Both good and bad.
Like, remember that story about the singer who had terrible stage fright?
Yeah, but she managed to overcome it.
By commanding her subconscious. She literally told the fear to step aside.
It's pretty amazing how she reprogrammed her mind that way.
Right. But then on the flip side, there's the tragic story of that guy who died because he believed a fortune teller's prediction.
That one's a little spooky, I have to admit.
Yeah, but it shows how deeply embedded suggestions can affect our lives.
If we believe something strongly enough, even if it's not true,
it can become our reality.
Exactly. So it really underscores Murphy's point about choosing our thoughts and beliefs carefully.
It's like we're constantly programming our subconscious, whether we're aware of it or not.
And that programming can have some pretty serious consequences.
It's not all doom and gloom, though, right? I mean, this power of suggestion can be used for good, too.
Oh, absolutely.
Like with healing.
He talks about this surgeon, Dr. Esdell, who practiced in 19th century India.
Yeah, this guy had insanely low infection rates.
Simply by suggesting to his hypnotized patients that no infection would occur.
Pretty wild, right?
It is, and it's almost like a precursor to the placebo effect we hear about today.
So it all comes back to the power of belief.
Right. If we believe we can heal, our subconscious might just make it happen.
And it's not just some theory.
Yeah, Murphy shares a story of a minister who healed himself from cancer by focusing on the idea of perfect health. It's like he convinced his subconscious mind that he was already healed, and it followed suit.
It's pretty mind-blowing stuff.
It is, and it really highlights the power we have within us when we tap into our subconscious mind.
And speaking of power,
the book also delves into the topic of wealth,
which is something a lot of people struggle with.
Murphy's argument is that those struggles often stem from not believing in abundance.
Not believing we deserve wealth.
Exactly.
It's almost like we're sabotaging ourselves with negative thoughts.
Right. And he gives an example of this guy, Mr. Broke, who turns his finances around by constantly thanking for his wealth.
Even though he didn't have much at the time.
Exactly. It's about cultivating that feeling of wealth even before it manifests.
Like tricking your subconscious into believing it's already true.
And the subconscious, remember, doesn't analyze or question.
It just accepts what you feed it.
So by embodying that feeling of abundance, you're essentially sending a powerful message to your subconscious.
A message that says, hey, this is my reality. Make it happen.
And that applies to all areas of life, not just wealth.
So is that like the key takeaway here? That we need to align our beliefs with our desires?
It's definitely a big part of it.
Because if our subconscious is running the show,
we better make sure it's running the right program, right?
Exactly. And that leads us to another interesting area, relationships.
Murphy emphasizes that our subconscious plays a huge role in who we attract.
And who we end up with.
Right, and there's this story about a woman who married a submissive man because she subconsciously craved dominance.
It's like our subconscious desires are playing out in our relationships, whether we realize it or not.
And that's why it's so important to be aware of those desires and make sure they're aligned with our conscious goals.
Otherwise, we might end up in relationships that don't truly serve us.
Exactly, and that can lead to a lot of unhappiness and frustration.
So how about happiness? Is that something we can control through our subconscious too?
According to Murphy, absolutely.
He says happiness is a choice, a habit even.
He uses the example of an Irish farmer who made happiness his daily practice.
So it's not about waiting for external circumstances to make us happy.
Right, it's about cultivating that inner state of happiness, regardless of what's going on around us.
So by focusing on positive thoughts and gratitude,
We can essentially reprogram our subconscious for lasting happiness.
wow. So we've covered suggestions, healing, wealth, relationships, happiness. What else does Murphy dive into?
Well, there's forgiveness, which is crucial for letting go of resentment and emotional baggage.
Because holding on to those negative feelings can really weigh us down.
Murphy explains that true forgiveness isn't about condoning actions.
It's about releasing the negativity and genuinely wishing the other person well.
And he even shares a story about a woman who forgave the mother of a child who cut her line at Disneyland.
Talk about letting go.
Right, but it shows how powerful forgiveness can be, even in seemingly small situations.
And that it's not about the other person. It's about freeing ourselves from that negative energy.
Exactly, and that freedom is essential for our overall well-being, both mentally and physically.
So it sounds like we have a lot to unpack here.
We do, and we've only just scratched the surface.
But it's already clear that this book is full of insights and practical tools.
And that the power of the subconscious mind is something we can all tap into.
And something that can truly transform our lives for the better.
Absolutely. So stay tuned as we delve even deeper into the amazing world of the subconscious mind.
And explore some of the specific techniques that Murphy outlines for harnessing its power.
So we've talked about the power of the subconscious, but
how do we actually use it?
right, how do we tap into this power and make it work for us?
Well, that's where things get really interesting.
Murphy lays out specific techniques and exercises in the book.
And I have to say, some of them are pretty out there.
Yeah, some of them might sound a bit woo-woo at first.
But hey, if they work,
I'm open to it.
me too. So let's dive in.
One of the most well-known techniques is affirmations.
Those are those positive statements you repeat to yourself, right?
Exactly, like I am healthy, I am wealthy, I am loved.
Stuff like that.
But it's not just about mindlessly repeating words.
There's got to be more to it than that.
Right. The key is to really feel the emotion behind those words.
Like you have to actually believe it.
That's it. You have to embody the feeling of what you're affirming.
So if you're saying, I am confident,
You have to feel that confidence surging through you.
it's almost like acting as if you already have what you desire.
And that's actually a powerful technique in itself.
Fake it till you make it, kind of.
Exactly. Because remember, the subconscious doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's imagined.
So if you can convince your subconscious that you're already confident,
It'll start working to manifest that confidence in your reality.
it's kind of like tricking your mind into believing it.
But in a good way.
Totally. And affirmations aren't the only way to do that.
Murphy also talks about visualization.
Like creating a mental picture of what you want.
Right, but not just a static image.
You have to make it a whole movie.
A vivid, detailed mental movie of yourself living the life you desire.
With all the sights, sounds, feelings.
The whole shebang.
It's almost like daydreaming with a purpose.
Exactly, and Murphy stresses the importance of doing this consistently.
Like every day.
Ideally, yeah, because the more you feed your subconscious these positive images and feelings,
The stronger that belief becomes.
and the more likely it is to manifest in your reality.
And he actually backs this up with some pretty amazing stories.
Remember the one about the woman who used visualization to resolve a legal issue?
Yeah, she kept imagining her lawyer telling her the case was settled.
And guess what?
It happens.
Just like she envisioned it.
That's wild.
It is, and it shows how powerful this stuff can be.
But I guess it makes sense, right? If we're constantly bombarding our subconscious with negative thoughts and fears.
That's what we're going to attract into our lives.
So it's about shifting that focus to the positive.
Exactly. And using tools like visualization to really imprint those positive images on our subconscious mind.
I'm definitely going to try that.
I think we should all give it a shot.
What else does Murphy recommend?
Well, another important element is sleep.
Wait, sleep.
Yeah, it's not just about physical rest.
There's more to it.
Murphy believes that during sleep, we can access our subconscious more easily.
It's like a direct line to the source.
He says that's when we can receive guidance, inspiration, even solutions to problems.
Remember that story about the scientist who discovered the formula for insulin in a dream?
Yeah, that's a classic example.
It's like our subconscious mind is working on stuff even when we're not consciously aware of it.
It's pretty amazing, right?
It is, so we really shouldn't underestimate the power of a good night's sleep.
It's not just about feeling rested.
It's about tapping into that wellspring of creativity and wisdom that resides within us.
I like that. A wellspring of wisdom.
And Murphy also talks about prayer as a way to connect with the subconscious.
But it's not the traditional kind of prayer where you're begging for things.
What is it then?
It's more about acknowledging that your subconscious mind is connected to something greater.
Like a higher power, a universal intelligence.
Exactly. And it's about aligning yourself with that power, surrendering to it.
So instead of asking for things,
You're expressing gratitude for what you already have.
and trusting that the universe has your back.
It's a powerful shift in perspective.
Okay, so we've got affirmations, visualization, sleep, prayer. Anything else we should know about?
Well, there's one more technique that I find particularly intriguing.
Tell me more.
It's called the argumentative method.
Argumentative, so we're going to get into a fight with our subconscious.
Not exactly. It's not about arguing with someone else.
What is it at, that?
It's about having a mental debate with yourself.
Using logic and reason to challenge limiting beliefs. So if I'm feeling scared or doubtful about something,
You can use this method to talk yourself out of it.
like present evidence to the contrary.
Right. Use logic to prove those negative thoughts wrong.
It's like being your own therapist.
And a lawyer for your dreams.
Like that. A lawyer for your dreams.
And Murphy says this method can be incredibly effective, not just for ourselves, but for helping others, too.
Really?
He shares stories of people being healed from all sorts of ailments using this technique.
By simply arguing with those limiting beliefs.
It's pretty powerful stuff.
It is, and it shows how much control we actually have over our minds and our experiences.
We just have to learn how to use that control effectively.
And it sounds like Murphy gives us a pretty comprehensive toolkit to do just that.
He does, and it's up to us to experiment with these techniques, find what works best for us.
And keep practicing.
That's the key. Consistency is everything.
So out of all these techniques, is there one that you're particularly drawn to?
You know, for me, it's the combination of affirmations and visualization.
Those really seem to resonate with a lot of people.
I think it's because they're so accessible, anyone can do them.
And you can do them anywhere, anytime.
Exactly. You don't need any special equipment or training.
It's all about the power of your own mind.
And that's what I love about this work.
It's empowering.
It is. It gives us the tools to create the lives we desire.
And that's a pretty incredible thing. So we've talked about all these amazing techniques for tapping into the subconscious.
But what about those times when things don't go as planned?
Right? Like what if I'm doing all the affirmations, the visualizations?
You're sleeping like a baby.
Exactly. But I'm still not seeing the results I want.
Well, Murphy addresses that too.
He does.
Yeah, he says sometimes what we think we want,
Might not actually be in our best interest.
it's like that saying, sometimes you get what you want, sometimes you get what you need.
So it's not always about getting what we think we want,
It's about trusting that there might be a bigger plan unfolding.
even when we can't see it.
Exactly, and that's where surrender comes in. Surrendering to a higher power, trusting that a greater intelligence within us knows the way.
So it's about letting go of the need for control.
Allowing the universe to work its magic.
That can be tough, especially in today's world where we're so used to instant gratification.
It is, but that's where faith comes in.
Faith.
The belief that even when we can't see it, something amazing is happening behind the scenes.
So how do we develop that faith?
By consistently using these techniques and experiencing the results firsthand.
So it's like a feedback loop.
The more we engage with our subconscious, the stronger our faith becomes.
And the more we realize that anything is possible.
It's like working a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets.
Makes sense.
So even if you're not seeing immediate results, don't give up.
Keep practicing.
Keep trusting.
And most importantly, keep believing in the power within you.
Because that power is real and it's waiting to be unlocked.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into the power of the subconscious mind,
What's the key takeaway you'd like our listeners to leave with?
I think it's this: you have within you the power to create the life you desire. It's all about understanding how your subconscious mind works and using the tools that Murphy provides to harness that power. It's a journey, for sure,
A journey of self-discovery.
and one that's definitely worth taking.
Couldn't agree more.
This has been an incredible exploration, and I'm honestly feeling a shift in my own thinking and feeling already.
That's fantastic to hear. I hope our listeners feel the same way.
But this is just the beginning, right?
Oh, absolutely. This deep dive has just scratched the surface of the incredible potential that lies within you. Now it's up to you to explore, further experiment with these techniques, and uncover the boundless power of your own subconscious mind.
Because who knows what amazing things you might create.
The possibilities are truly limitless.
Thanks for joining us on this journey. Until next time, keep diving deep.